So the first idea is to simplify this vast landscape and to come up with something more simple, okay? And the way to do that is by way of squinting. Now, if you are on location, the way to squint is basically you want to look through your eyelashes. I'm not outdoors, so I'm going to try to demonstrate this using an app. And seriously, squinting is one of the most powerful tools you have. It helps you cut through all of the overwhelming detail in the scene, and it allows you basically to see through your larger value shapes. Okay, so look what happens to this entire detail and this entire area. This is my center of interest over here, the mountain and a little bit of this mountain in front of it, and then the foreground. So if I try to squint, this is where I will get realistically, okay? And look what happens to all of the detail on the mountain. It allows me now to identify the shadow shape, the light shape on that mountain, and so on and so forth. So the next time you are on location, or you're simply looking through your reference pictures, try to squint and ask yourself, what are the 4 or 5 big shapes that I'm seeing? And that would be your starting point. So the next step is to compare. Now, how do you compare the big shapes that you have just identified? Well, the answer is, again, squint. So what you want to do again is you want to squint and you want to see how the big shapes relate to one another in terms of value. You want to find out, if I consider this mountain as a big shape, I want to find out how light or dark that mountain is compared to this big shape that I see over here. I want to compare how that mountain shape compares in value. Is it light or dark compared to the sky? How does the sky shape compare to this big shape of foreground over here? How does this triangular patch of this foreground compare to this shadow shape of this mountain in the back? And so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you the value structure when I squint, what you should be able to see. I'm using tech over here, but when you squint, you should be able to find those relationships, and you can see now how that foreground is very close in value compared to this shadow shape over here. You can also see how the sky is the lightest compared to all of the other shapes in the scene, and so on and so forth. So the third thing to remember is always to work on the whole painting at once. This is a big one and something to really remember. It's tempting to work on a little area and try to finish that area before moving to the other areas in the painting. But this, most of the times, leads to a disjointed painting and a lack of harmony. Instead, block in everything loosely at the beginning. You want the whole painting to start reading. Because remember what we said in step 2. It's all about comparison. It's about comparing all of those shapes that you have identified and try to find those relationships. You want to maintain that thought process as you start painting. Get your big shapes and values in place across the entire canvas. Think of it as sculpting the painting. You're roughing out the form before you start chiseling out the details. Painting this way will help you stay flexible, make better decisions, and keeps the entire composition in harmony. Okay, the next thing to remember is to avoid detail. I know it is extremely tempting to start rendering things. In this case, for example, it is very tempting for me to go in and start rendering the facets of the mountain, or to start putting in the snow that I see up on the mountain. But the truth is, the detail will only read well if the structure underneath is solid. Focus on nailing your value shapes and color relationships first. Once that is working, then and only then, just add enough detail to serve the painting. And often, less is more. Remember, the viewer will fill in the blanks. Lastly, the most important thing is to always paint with intention. Every time you start a painting, you should know what it is that you're trying to convey to the viewer. Every mark you make is significant and has a role to play in the big picture. So every time you make a mark, you should know how that mark is going to bring forward that intention. Intentional painting leads to confident painting. And confident painting is what gives that work energy and life. If you make mistakes, and trust me, you will, if you make those mistakes with intention, you will be able to reason them out, and therefore you will learn faster and get better results. So whatever it is you do, whether you are painting just a study, or you are painting a masterpiece, or if you are just making some quick sketches, whatever it is that you're doing, always have intention behind that. So to sum it up, first, simplify the scene. Squint and look for big shapes. Number 2, compare everything. The color, the value, the color temperature, everything. Number 3, paint the whole painting, not just one small little part at a time. Number 4, avoid detail until the very end. Number 5, paint with intention. Every mark matters. These are just some of the habits I return to again and again in my own work. I hope they help you as much as they have helped me. If you find this helpful, give it a like and hit subscribe if you want more videos like this. And if you have questions or want me to cover a specific topic, drop in the comments below. Thank you for watching and happy painting.